The Rebel Capitalist Show.
I get asked this question quite consistently as far as investing in residential in blue states compared to red states. And I mean, you kind of touched on it there, but if safety is your number one thing that you're looking at from kind of like a micro driver, you're looking at the macro, but then you get all the way down to that component, and then, street by street, and you're taking all of this into consideration. Defunding the police, or a push to defund the police, probably isn't going to equal more safety. Probably going to lead to maybe a little less safety. So is it safe to say that you and your buddies, and I mean, we went skiing, and pretty much every guy you hang out with is huge in the real estate business? Are you guys leaning more towards states and cities that, and again, this is not a political thing, but that are leaning a little more red just because they're the ones that aren't trying to defund the police, and there might be fewer safety issues there in the next 2, 3, 5 years, something like that? Are you guys considering those elements? Is that playing into your consideration?
Yeah, so that's a great question. That's always been part of it. So I'm not afraid. Trust me, I'm not afraid to buy in blue states at all. From my standpoint, what I'm looking for are expenses. So the taxes, all the additional fees for inspections and things like that they layer on, because a lot of the cities in the states, they look at the landlords, the real estate holders, as an opportunity for money. And so typically
you.
So typically that comes through like property taxes as an example. So there's a great video that I watched by the CEO of Starwood Hotels. If you guys, it's on the internet, it's on YouTube. You should check it out. But basically, he said, listen, when we plant a hotel, it's a massive it's a massive consideration.
Yeah, and you can't just move it real quick.
Yeah, right. So like, what are the tax structures? What are the expense structures? Is it, are they all these additional things that it costs to run the hotel? And then what can we charge? And then on the safety side, that's really more on the consumer side, obviously, so, and basically what he said was, if you take a look at where Starwood has grown, it's been predominantly in the red states. And again, not to get so political, but I would not go buy a property right now in New York or Seattle, as an example, because, the employers are moving out, and, there's real estate patterns that are created by these policies, by allowing, all the things that are going on. And I'm not saying that they don't have social issues there, because obviously they do, but at the same token, I was on the phone with actually an anchor at CNBC, and I won't say who, but they live in a building across the street from a hotel that was just converted to homeless in New York.
Oh, wow, geez.
Okay. And so she's like, okay, so now I'm trying to, shop, and I'm stepping over people that are passed out in the grocery store. And I'm not saying that all homeless is this a problem, but what I'm saying is, so confidentially, she's like, yeah, we're thinking about moving, right? Because these are real things. People can get angry. That doesn't, it doesn't matter. The fact is, these are real things, and decisions that are being made, policies that are being made affect where people go, period. And so that will always be the case. And so, people, again, they vote with their feet, they vote with their pocketbook. So they have choices. We have choices where we want to live.
Yeah, it reminds me of that saying that Warren Buffett had, where he's talking about what to invest in or what not to. He's like, just try to invest in something that's got more tailwind than headwind. And that's pretty much what you're saying.
Yep. Pretty much. It's really common sense. I mean, we all, I mean, I know you spent a lot of time in, out of the country, right? In Colombia, and there's good areas and bad areas. And there's a reason. And the same in the United States, exact same. So even in Phoenix, there's good areas and there's bad areas, and there's good areas that turn to bad areas and bad areas that turn to good areas. And that's always been. And some of that's through redevelopment, some of that's been through policy, and so as a real estate investor or developer, like what we do, those are always things we're looking for. Because if you're a family with, let's say, with kids, what are the things that you're looking for? You're looking for safety and good schools. Really, those are two big things. That's not all you're looking for, but that trumps really, like, even living next to where you're working. Those are things. So we oftentimes will buy properties in areas that have really good school districts. I'm looking at 2 properties right. Yeah, it's really a good decision, because as long as the school district is good, then you're always going to have people that want to be in that school district to put their kids through that program. And so those are little things that you could do as a real estate investor, as you start to navigate all this. But there's obviously school districts that are not doing well and school districts that are doing well. And so all that's going to also be a determination on what happens from a real estate standpoint.
Yeah. So it sounds like, as a professional, you're always trying to be as cognizant as possible about trends. And then once you spot a trend that you've got some confidence in through doing the due diligence and going through your framework and your process, then you just try to kind of get in front of that trend with either multifamily or commercial, industrial, et cetera.
100%. So I'll give you a great example.
Yeah.
So during this pandemic, obviously things have been disrupted all over the place. But one thing that has been really vibrant, obviously, is the hospital, hospital workers, medical, all that. They've been open the whole time. They've been obviously heroes of this whole pandemic, for sure.
Right.
So we started to look at the medical center around Houston, Texas, as one location. Now, we looked at multiple locations. It's on fire. Okay. They can't get enough people to work there. And of course, you have the aging baby boomers, and you have all these things happening. So there's going to be stress, as an example, on the medical profession for sure in the next 20 years. Okay. So we started looking at those areas around Katy, Texas, and we put 2 deals in escrow right across the street from Texas Medical Center. They're in escrow right now. And the point behind that is, you got to go, as Gretzky says, right? You got to skate to the puck.
Or where it's going.
That's
go where the puck's going, not where it is.
Yes, exactly right. Skate to where the puck's going. And so that's what we're trying to do, is trying to be where, where that's going to be. In addition to that, we were able to buy at significantly less than we are in Phoenix or even Las Vegas. So we were able to buy at right now we're like 130,000 a unit down there for these properties, where that exact same property in let's say in Phoenix would be closer to 200. So you're looking at all of those. Yeah, it's all the rents very, very similar. So the rents are very similar, but you're paying more right now in Phoenix. Now that can reverse itself too over time. So you have to look at all those factors: is where are people going, how much are you paying, how much are the rents, how much are the expenses, which is the other piece, because there can be things that dig away, obviously, on the expense side, that on fees and property taxes, insurance rates, and all those kinds of things. That's the reason we're not in South Florida, because of the hurricanes and in Galveston area, and some of the areas of Baytown, because the insurance rates will be double, triple what they are even in Dallas, because so all those things are factors as you start to look at your cash flow. And, and utility rates too, utility rates for garbage and sewer and water and trash, all that kind of stuff can be massively different from municipality and municipality. So all of those things are factored as you're looking at that, with the rent, of course. And then at the end of the day, like you said, with Buffett, you're trying to get that tailwind, right? And that's the biggest thing, is we want that tailwind. We want to be buying well and then catch that tailwind, but we also don't want to be a pioneer.
Yeah, that's right. It's just, you try to teach this to someone, and you can teach a lot of it, but so much of it just comes through experience, where you just gotta take the punches. You got to go through the cycles. You've got to build up that, kind of retrain your brain, like I was saying earlier. And you can only do that to a certain extent by reading out of a book or even watching a YouTube channel, unfortunately. Now, that's definitely a way to get ahead of the learning curve and shorten the learning curve. But sometimes you've got to fail to succeed, I guess, right?
Yeah, I've made my share of mistakes. I bought a property I bought a property from a bank once, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great area, or this could be a great deal. Well, it was in a bad area, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
so, but it was such a good deal that we bought it anyway, and we put all this money into it. And I was shopping the comps, I remember, and I walked across the street. And the manager at the property across the street, she spotted me immediately. She's like, I'm like, hey, I'm just looking for an apartment from my brother or whatever. And she's like, get the hell out of here. Like you're, I'm like, I started laughing. I'm like, later, she gave me the stuff and we were cracking up, and I told her I was buying the property across the street. We had some fun with it, but she spotted me immediately. She's like, there's no way. So, here we were. And so we bought it. Yeah. That thing, man, and so the point is you can't manage your way out of a bad neighborhood. You might be able to get a good deal. And so what you want to buy in an area that's, maybe transitional and it's up and coming. You want that tailwind. And that's why we bought around that Texas Medical Center, because we believe, well, if you just take a look at what Houston's doing as an example in that particular area, it's called Katy, Texas. Yeah. There's massive growth going on right now in that medical profession. And it never stopped, even during the pandemic. People were working hard. And so it's literally across the street. So those are the kinds of, that's something that should do well year over year.